Hey guys, welcome back. Now today we're going to be continuing our journey of comparing Logic Pro X and Ableton Live features, and we're building on what we've accomplished so far. Today our focus is on audio editing. We're going to be editing the bass line I recorded last time using my electric bass. We're going to explore some of the functions, some of the features, and some of the tools available in both DAWs. Now, I hope you find it useful, so let's get into it. Okay guys, so in the last video we created our bass line. I played the bass line quite sloppy, so there's some work to be done, and it gives us an opportunity to do some fixing and to explore some of those audio editing features available to us in Live. Okay, so the bass line is actually sitting in this cell right here. So double click on that. We're just going to focus on the first 8 bars. Now to do that, all we need to do is hover over this marker down here and just pull this in. And now we have just isolated the first 8 bars of audio. Now we can do some very basic editing to this piece of audio within Live. As long as we're clicked in here, we can come over here and increase the gain by pushing this slider. Now if I double click, I can type in 6, enter, and that's 6 decibels of boost. If I wanted to increase, just say like this section right here, and I pushed this up, you'll see the entire recording is increased. So we can't increase that section on its own by using this slider right here. So I'm just going to undo that. Command Z. There's a few other things you can do as well. You can change the pitch. There's not that much you can do in terms of serious editing in Ableton. That's what I've discovered anyway. Again, I could be wrong, and if you're watching this and you know more, you're more experienced than I, please do let us know. Drop some notes into the comment section and we can all learn. But from my discovery, Ableton is more about the production and mixing of your track and not so much about editing. What you can do, however, is come over here to this section and click on Edit. And then you get the opportunity to link Ableton Live to an audio editor. Now I'm using Adobe Audition, and now I can actually get down to that the serious audio editing. And now let's say, for example, I wanted to just work on this section just right here. So normalize to -3 dB. There you go. And then let's say I wanted to add a fade, just fade this chunk out. Okay, and that's faded that out. Okay, now once I'm done, I just go to Quit Audition and click Save, and whatever changes I make within my audio editor, whether it be Audition or anything else, those will apply, and then we'll see those changes in Ableton. However, I'm not going to actually save these changes. So you can see right here, this box here called Warp. Now Warp is one of the most powerful functions, and I wish Logic had something as flexible as Warp. Of course, there is flex time, flex pitch, and so on, but the way Warp actually works in Ableton is just so brilliant that I really love it. Now that I've recorded my bass line into Ableton, it's automatically warped, so I can change the tempo. Let's run this. And as you can hear, it slowed down. Let's go back up to okay, so as you can see, it is very powerful and very flexible. Let's put this back to 100, which is where we started. Now, a couple of keyboard shortcuts which I've discovered in Ableton. To zoom in, it's plus. So on a Mac, it's hold down the Shift key and you press the plus button. And I want to really get right in at the very beginning here. I want to get to this start point here. And as you can see, the first transient, it's not really at the very beginning. I want to move this further in, so the bass starts exactly on the 1. I could always cut this. I can cut from here, and of course, but that's going to shift the entire audio file, and I don't want to do that. So what I'll do here now is I'm going to, first of all, let's zoom out a bit, which is minus. That's the keyboard shortcut. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come to the next note on the bass line. I'm going to double click right here, and I'm going to insert a warp marker at this point. Now this is like an anchor point, so anything from this point going this way is not going to be adjusted. I'll then come to this point and I'll insert one here, and I'm just going to drag this along this way, right there, and that's good enough for me. If I play back, right, that's exactly on point. Okay, so the manner in which I'd approach this is to do it on a bar by bar basis. Now, I'm going to come up here and pull this along to bar 2. And then I'm going to go to the end marker and pull this along to the start of bar 3. So we're going to just work in this section on this clip. So if I play this back, now what you can hear is that we've just cycled around a single bar in the bassline clip. However, everything else continues to play in their entirety. Okay, now what I will do here is I will switch those two off, and I'm going to keep the rhythm section going, like the drums and so on. And I'm just going to go through and time this up, create a bit more space on the screen. So close this browser right here, close this right here by clicking this, and then I'll just pull this up just to create a bit more space. Click in here and then use my zoom. Okay, and if I play back now, what I'll probably do is I might just get this transient to hit directly on bar 2. So I'm going to put a warp marker there. I'm going to put another warp marker right here, and then just pull this back like so. And I'm going to fix this one as well. So I'm going to put a warp marker right here and one right here. Now I don't want to take away the human feel from this too much. Actually, it's too early, going the wrong way. There you go, better. And then I'll now move along a bit. Now we're working on bar 3 to bar 4. Yeah, that's all right, I can work with that. And I'm just going to continue to work my way through. Okay, so let me go offline, fix that, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I finished tidying up the bass line, and I'll just play it back to you, and you be the judge of the results. I've managed to get things in time, but it's the stretching of the audio that's the important bit. How convincing are the results in terms of the quality of the audio processing having been time stretched? Let's have a quick listen. Okay, so it's okay, but you can hear one or two artifacts that have crept in as a result of the stretch. And let's see what we've got now. Now we haven't put any audio effects on the bass line at all, so it's still dry as recorded, and we'll look at that in our next video. Now we're going to switch over to Logic Pro X and see how this whole process is done in that program. Okay guys, so we've had a look at how audio editing is done in Ableton Live, and now we're going to have a look at how things are done in Logic. The bass line I put down, if you remember, was a 4-bar loop, and I went around it 4 times, so 32 bars. And as you can see right here, if I was to close this, all of my takes are in this take folder. So we've got 4 bars. I can display in the top folder which one of these takes I want to listen to. So for example, let's choose take 3, and I can play back take 3. Okay, or I can choose take 1. Okay, the other thing I can do, I can expand these by clicking that button, and here are all of my takes. And what I can do, I can actually start, if you look at this top folder here, I'm just going to color that, and I'm going to use the key command Option C to bring up the color palette. I'm just going to use red for that. So that's just to distinguish between the 4 takes and the folder. Now, as you can see right here, we've got quite a few different options that we can choose from. There's so many things you can do, and this is before we even start editing. What we're going to go for, however, is the quick swipe comping. And now, let's say I wanted to start off with take 3, and then maybe jump to take 2, and then take 4, and then take 1, for example. First thing I do is start by selecting take 3. And now I'm going to jump in on take 2 from here. Okay, and then take 4. Let's go take 4. Let's just do this bit, for example. And then maybe a bit of take 1. There we go. So now we are we're starting take 3, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 1, take 3. Okay, so that's what this up here represents. Okay, so now that we've got our selections and we're now going to comp them together, we can now bounce them in place, so thereby joining them into one fixed audio file. So you come up here to the folder and you right click and you go to bounce in place. Now you've got a number of options here. I'm just going to type baseline here. I'm going to make sure that I mute the source file. I'm going to bypass the effects and keep the audio tail in the file. Okay, I'm not going to normalize, just hit OK, and Logic will bounce that down. And if you notice over here, we've still got all of the effects plugins on the channel strip. They haven't been printed to the audio file, so we still have the flexibility of altering the parameters of these plugins to taste. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to close that. I'm also going to just make sure this is muted and hidden. Now to hide this, I press H on the keyboard. I now select H here on this track, press H again, and that's hidden. If I needed to pull it back up, press H again and it's there. To remove its hidden status, you just need to click on this and it will stay on the main screen. Let's press H again to hide it. Okay, so here's our baseline. Okay, cool. So I'm pretty happy with it as it stands, but let's go in and have a look at some of the editing features that you will have in Logic that makes it so great. So double click on the audio file and you'll end up in this window. You've got track, file, and file tempo. The real editing takes place under file. So let's go to file. And right here now is where we can do all of the fun stuff. If, say for example, I wanted to change gain, all I'll do is select Command A to select all, and then I can use my keyboard shortcut Control G, and I'll get this window, and I can add or reduce the gain. Let's go up to about 3 dB, and now that's there. That's in place. Let's say, for example, I wanted to maybe silence a bit. I can highlight this and I can use a key command, Control Backspace or Delete, and that's now deleted. I'm going to undo that, Command Z, and that's back. Now there are a lot of editing options that you've got here. So here are all your functions, and it's extremely powerful and flexible. The stuff you can do within this window. There's further stuff you can do outside of this window. So press E on the keyboard to come out of this window. You can also adjust parameters for the region. So similar to what we saw in Ableton, where you can select the region and then change again. Once this region is selected, just make sure you're on the right parameter box. So you've got these two, you've got region and you've got track. Right, we don't want track, we want region. Now under here, we can mute the region. You can loop the region. As you can see down here, it's going to loop every 4 bars. You can transpose as well, change the pitch as we're able to do in Ableton. There's a whole range of things you can do. And here's a gain change, delay, a whole bunch of stuff. And that's to the entire region. The other thing that I wanted to show you now was the flex options. Now, if you remember, we were able to adjust the start point of each of the notes by using those transient or warp markers. What we're going to do here is we're going to do something similar, although these aren't that out. We're just going to use the transient markers anyway. Now, you come up here to the top and you click on this button right here. This is the show flex button, and we're going to look at the flex pitch and, well, not so much flex pitch. We're going to look at just flexing. So click on this and we're going to look at flex time. Now, this is a monophonic instrument, so we're going to choose monophonic here. I'm going to come over to the region parameter box, and I'm going to make sure that flex and follow is switched on, and align bars and beats. I'm going to make sure that option is selected. And if you see now, Logic has analyzed this audio region, and it's looking for where the impulses are, where the strong transients begin. So for example, I can grab this down here, and always do this at the bottom. You grab it at the bottom and you pull it there to the line. So let's play this back a minute first. I want this line, dashed line, to drop on this note right here. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to pull this back so that it's about here. You see that I've played this quite a lot tighter than the other bass lines, so it makes it a bit more difficult to find errors and timing issues, but you get the idea, you get the principle. All you need to do is come down the bottom, and you can actually start at any point. You don't have to look for these markers. I can come here, for example, click here, and it will introduce like a transient marker right there, and I can adjust whichever way I want to go. Let's undo that, or in fact you can click on this here to remove it. Pull that one in there. So what you do, you follow the principles I've shown you so far, and you just come down the bottom and you move these markers to where you want the note to punch in from. Again, trying to be unbiased, I think the audio processing, the way in which Logic processes flexed audio, is a lot cleaner with less artifacts than Ableton. Again, I'm not as experienced with Ableton, so if you think otherwise, please do let me know. This is not about me trying to hate on Ableton. I'm just giving my experience with my limited use of it, comparing it with my extensive use of Logic. Hopefully that helps, and upcoming videos we're going to be looking at audio effects, MIDI editing and more. So do make sure you check back in for the next video. Okay, so I do hope you found this video useful, and as usual, if you have, please remember to share, like, comment and subscribe to my channel. And as I've said, there's more to come, such as MIDI editing, audio effects, mixing and mastering, and a few other bits thrown in. So look forward to your company again soon. I'm Dr. Duce. Peace.